Okay, AP Statistics fans, our topic for today, we're going to start Chapter 10, Section 10-1. Now, the overall topic here is called comparing two proportions. In Chapter 9, we talked about how we could do significance tests with one proportion or with one mean. And in Chapter 10, we're going to do the same thing, except now we're going to be using two proportions or two means to try to compare. And the activity today is actually looking at a situation, is yawning contagious? Okay, we'll come back to that. Let me give you your joke of the day. If you wanted to organize a space party, what do you have to do? The answer is you plan it. Plan it. All right, so we're going to look at a question here that has been around for a long time. There's a TV show, it's called Mythbusters. I'm using this sheet, by the way, is coming from Stats Medic. I did not create this myself. But there's a video, it was a show that was around for 15, 16 years called Mythbusters. And so Mythbusters investigated this question where the idea of the show is they take these things that are considered myths or people think are true, and they basically try to do experiments to show whether they are true or whether they can bust the myth, where they say, you know what, there's actually not a lot of evidence to suggest that, even though a lot of people think something might be true. So in this one, they're looking at yawning. Here's a brief recap. Each subject was placed in a booth for an extended period of time and monitored by a hidden camera. Now, 34 subjects were given a yawn seed by one of the experimenters. That is, the experimenter yawned in the subject's presence before leaving the room. So the myth is that if you yawn in front of a group of people, that causes other people to also yawn. So the experimenter yawned in the person's presence before leaving the room. The remaining 16 subjects were given no yawn seed. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to draw an outline of the Mythbusters experiment. And so what they did, they took a total of 50 people and they assigned them randomly. So they did random assignment. And they put them into two groups. Okay, so we had group 1, which was 34 people, and group 2, which is 16. Now, with the first group, they gave them what they called the yawn seed. So they actually yawned in front of the person. In the second group, they did not do that. There was no seed. And then what they did at the end was they compared yawning. They basically counted up who yawned and who did not. So this is how they organized their experiment. And then here's the results that they got. Okay, so did the subject receive the yawn seed, yes or no? And then, did that subject end up yawning? So if we look at the people that received the yawn seed, the yeses, 10 of those people actually did yawn, 24 of them did not, and so out of the 34, 10 out of the 34 ended up yawning. Now for those subjects that did not receive the yawn seed, so they did not have the experimenter did not yawn in front of them. 4 of them still yawned. 12 of them did not, for a total of 16. And so in the show, then what they did was they compared the proportions. So let's call P sub 1 the true proportion of people who, given the yawn seed, will yawn. Well, the sample proportion that they found in the show, for the people who did yawn, that were given the yawn seed, it was 10 out of 34, which as a decimal is approximately 0.29. So it's actually 0.294, but I'm going to round it to 0.29. Let's call P sub 2 the true proportion of people who did not get the yawn seed, but they still did yawn. And so that proportion, the people that did not get the yawn seed, 4 of them did yawn out of 16 total. And 4 over 16 is equal to 0.25. Now, what is the difference in the proportions? So this is the key because we're going to be comparing 2 proportions in this section. What's the difference in the proportions? So sample proportion 1 minus sample proportion 2. Well, that's 0.29 minus 0.25. And what we get is 0.04, which is 4/100ths. So in question 3, it says, do the data provide some evidence that yawning is contagious? Well, in this case, these are the people that received the yawn seed. These are the people that didn't. And this proportion is higher than this proportion. When we subtract them, we end up with a positive value. So do the data provide some evidence? Yes. We can say that's a yes. People that were given the yawn seed they did yawn more. They yawned more often than the people not given the yawn seed. So it was 0.29 to 0.25. So yeah, we can say there's some evidence that this is the case. Now, number 4, Adam Savage and Jamie Heineman, those are the co-hosts of the show. They use these data to conclude that yawning is contagious. Now, do you agree with that? So they're saying that that was conclusive proof that yawning is contagious. And in this case, as AP statistics students, you know that, well, okay, yes, there seems to be some evidence that this is the case, but we're going to have to go into more detail. This is not enough. What we have here is not enough. So do you agree? Well, again, we can say there may be some evidence, but is it convincing? No. And by saying that it's not convincing evidence, what we're saying is that it could have happened. It could be the case that the people who got the yawn seed yawned more often just by chance, okay? Purely by chance. It could have been random. Maybe something else was going on with that. So we can say, yeah, there's some evidence that yawning in front of a person can cause them to yawn more often. That's what they're saying, 0.29 to 0.25. But it's not conclusive evidence for that. This could have happened by chance. It's possible. And that is the end of part 1.